Hi, I'm Eric Blevins with HyprMX. We're here at Pocket Gamer Connects London, and I'm joined by George Donovan, President and CEO of Gogii Games.
Thanks, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. Now, we've known each other over the last year.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever really asked you, what did you do before mobile games? Can you give us a little bit of info on your background?
Absolutely. I was a licensing agent in 1994. So I started working in the video game space out of LA with a company there that represented studios, mostly technology companies. Gaming was kind of on the fringe. But we started working with companies representing licenses, brands, actresses who wanted to break into the game space. So I started doing that for a couple of years, realized the agent thing was fun and I wanted to do it. I started my own agency called Game Agents. I built that up over 5 years. We worked with companies launching Deer Hunter, which was one of the big products for us. So certainly got a lot of recognition for that. And then we moved on representing companies like Microsoft, acquiring products for them. This was pre.com, so we were just on the cusp of a lot of that. So I got a lot of attention as people were building up technology businesses. A lot of friends from the game space left, started an internet business. I joined them with that, keeping Game Agents running on the side, and built up a studio of almost 40 people. We were acquired by a publicly traded company during the dot-bomb. We actually were a successful internet company where most weren't. And we started to scale that on the acquisition. I stayed with them, hit my earnouts, retired at 30, and then decided, after a couple of years of having kids and being a stay-at-home dad, that I wanted to try something else. And I started Goji. There was a big gap in what games were being available to people. Basically, everyone was making first-person shooters, and no one was building games for women. And we saw that as a whole. We knew that the games for women that we had made in the past were incredibly good games that had a great loyalty, and you weren't dealing with shareware and issues that you had with games for men. So I started building games for women, and it was like small card games and board game spin-offs and puzzle games. And this was just on the cusp of like the Big Fish Real Arcade shareware online scale. And as we obviously benefited from, one, having products, two, knowing the types of games women wanted, and then building and designing and optimizing games for women.
How do you figure out what you want to focus on next in terms of a style or a genre of game? Is there anything specific you do?
We are very analytical at Goji. I'm the dumbest blonde in the office, so I have a fantastic live ops team, and we take a deeper approach than most. So rather than just jumping into what's hot, we look at a lot of different trends. So we look at everything from what TV shows are being broadcast in next year, what movies are coming out that have what we call like the dumb sequels. So like there's two Armageddons that they have different names, and there are two movies that are on the same schedule in the same quarter. So we looked at those types of things when we used to kind of handpick what products we wanted to make. It's a little different now because ASO is such an important part of our core business loop from the UA side that we tend to do an enormous amount of research in the same types of aspects, but looking at the keywords rather than the product itself.
What's the monetization strategy there? Is it, a lot of these titles are similar but different, I think it's fair to say. But so is it going to be the same model, or do you think you're going to switch it up at all?
We're not trying to break the model too much. IEPs obviously are still core to us. Games like Virtual Families are still driven more with ads. Cooking, we suspect, is going to follow more of the same genre of villagers, so it's going to be probably IEP driven, but there's still a very core element of rewarded video there. We always create some specials with our rewarded video players, so there's certain things that they get that other players don't get. But those are the things that we let live ops decide. I stopped pretending that I knew anything about our business. Data tells us almost every time. We have a really cool story where a game like Fish Tycoon, we knew it was a smaller brand of Arthur's, didn't scale well. ASO was okay, but we were getting 300-400 installs a day, and with some bumps and little push, we got it to about 3,000 a day, which is very, very small in the mobile game space. And I let live ops, one of our new live ops guys, kind of get in there and do some Google experiments. And he came to us and said, we need to switch the icon. And here's the one I think we should go with. And we're like, it's a blue smudge. No one's going to like that. And he's like, no, my data says it's going to be pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and we went live with it within a week. We were at 36,000 a day.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Off the icon switch.
Just an icon switch. So at that point, we realized that data knows way more than us,
right.
and we let data run the business.
George, you've got Virtual Family Cook-Off coming out this year. Is
Yep.
there anything else for 2019 we should look out for?
Yes, yeah. So we ended up doing something different at Goji. Obviously, with the indie market collapsing, we kind of ran around and looked at friends of ours that had some great products that just couldn't get through the door.
Okay.
So we acquired a couple of titles. One of them we have is a game that was premium featured on the App Store, got fantastic reviews, but it was premium, and they couldn't make it free to play.
Right.
And the game was designed to be free to play. So we acquired that game, have rebuilt it. Live Ops has been working with the product for almost 2 months. So that's another product that we're really excited about. It's Kim's Cat Rescue.
Okay.
So that'll be, it's a really fun puzzle game that's got a lot of depth to it, like an enormous, they spent $1 million in art on this game that they could have stopped at 100. So there's an enormous amount of depth to it, which is going to be fun. So we have that one coming out, and we acquired another game called Fable Age. So it's an RPG, completely out of our norm, our realm. But again, fantastic, 4.7 review score, premium worldwide feature in the App Store, and they just built their own tech, and it just didn't work at the time. So we rebuilt the game. We're going to be relaunching that. We're going to be launching that on console, Steam, all multi-plat on mobile. So that one's exciting for us. Obviously, it's a different genre of product.
Sure.
But the game is just spectacular. It's just a visually pleasing, incredibly well-designed game. Obviously, we know the customers are out there that loved it. So we're hoping that they'll still love it or even love it more with some changes that we're making to it and bringing it back to market. And those are all coming in Q1.
Yeah, that's all Q1.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, oh, that's a busy
I'm not
year.
slowing down,
quarter.
man. It's step on the gas.
Or we might have to do this again in Q2 and see what's new.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
No, we're going to have some fun stuff coming up. Like I said, we hit some different genres, and we love bringing brands and some new stuff to the market. Plus, we're signing some bunch of new projects. So it's going to be a big year for Goji.
Great. Glad to hear. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
George, thank you, man.
Eric, it was a pleasure.
You too.
All right.